great stuff this morning. Bunch of really good guests today, too, on Birds 365. Our friend, Big C, Zander Krause. How you doing, bro?
What's up, Big Sales? How you doing, brother?
Oh, good, man. I mean, I think that's what's made Howie a better general manager over the last – it's that he elevated his evaluation on being a better talent evaluator, but yet he came from the tougher part of what a general manager's responsibilities are.
Right.
Every single one of those other GMs that I mentioned, those guys aren't involved in the cap to the extent that Howie is. I think that's what separates him right now. By the way, please, guys, hit the like button.
No, I think you're right. I mean, talent evaluation is just one part of it, but when you have that and you couple that with good contracts over and over again, you know, you create more of a buffer for yourself, a little bit more of a, you know, of a gap between you and the nearest guy. So I'm with you. I put out my rankings on GMs, and I just kind of did this on a whim. On 3/12 on my Twitter. So about 2 weeks ago, March 12th. And I put Howie 1. I put Veach 2, like you had. I put Brad Holmes 3. But on hindsight, I don't know if I would keep him 3. Number 4, I put DaCosta, and number 5, I put Les Snead.
We're
very
in
close.
the same top 5, just different.
I would move Les Snead up to 3, keep DaCosta at 4, and put Brad Holmes on 5 if I redid it today.
Okay. I mean, I think those are your 5 best guys in the sport.
Yeah, I agree. And I had Gutekunst I didn't put him in there, but I had him at 6 too. So we had very similar top.
That's great that you put that out there like that. I like that. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button here. Let me throw you something here. I picked 5 guys. Every year I pick 5 players that I think are can't-miss guys. And I picked Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, DT Michigan.
Okay.
Jalen Walker, Edge, Georgia. And I got that kid Tyler Warren as my top 5 guys. Because I think that position, again, it's the biggest mismatch position in the NFL today. There's a reason. And Zander, I don't know if you agree or disagree, but I have a sample where what I'm saying is Andy Reid and Bill Belichick never believed in wideouts. They believed in tight ends.
Your breakdown of tight ends was phenomenal in the open. I'm with you 100% on Gronkowski over Kelsey. I mean, I want a guy that can block. If you want to fit, that's one thing I like about Goddard, because he even if he's not the best at it, he can do it. Kelsey can't. I mean, he guess he could do it. He can't really do it. You know, I like Goddard for that reason because he's super physical. I like that in a tight end. So I'm with you on that for sure.
Do you agree with me on Jalen Hurts has put organizations along with Howie on notice where if you're Joe Burrow, you're Josh Allen, you're Jared Goff, you're Dak Prescott, and you're Lamar Jackson, dude, if you're not, don't you agree that the Eagles and the way they do business force the hand to do and take a knee on what Joe Burrow wanted by re-signing T. Higgins to that extension instead of just putting him on that, what was it? They picked up the they were going to drop the franchise tag on him, and still they turned around and gave him a 3-year contract, because I think that made Burrow happier, showing that they're at least going in the direction of what Philadelphia is doing with their 2 wide receivers, albeit it cost Cincinnati $100 million more because they were behind because of Mike Brown, not because of Duke Tobin, but because of the owner. I'm telling you, dude, if I'm Joe Burrow, you're not building my team around me like they're doing in Philly. I want out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, but he can't. You can't have that approach if you're Joe Burrow, because your owner's not breaded like that, bro. I mean, you got your.
Well, I don't want to say that.
But why'd you sign the contract? Is his name signed on the contract in Cincinnati or not?
Okay.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying if you have that expectation for the Cincinnati Bengals, You're not going to get that. And also, I think they made a stupid move. Why did they sign T. Higgins? Because they're trying to be like Philly?
This then? Okay, well then, to your point, so you think I should continue to sign shitty contract after shitty contract, knowing that, or not a shitty contract, but do you think I should stay in a shitty situation just because I was drafted there?
It's a tough situation because what was Joe going to do? Not sign the contract? I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying if he's got the expectations that they're going to operate like Philly when it comes to roster building, he's in another world. I mean, that's just not realistic. And by the way, they made the same mistake this summer or this offseason that they made 4 years ago in the draft. Jamar Chase is an unbelievable football player. He's the best wide receiver in football on my wide receiver big board. Offensive line will always be more important. They can't block.
They can't.
They passed on a generational tackle in that draft to draft Jamar Chase. I'm not saying Jamar's not a home run, but if you're Joe Burrow and you're as good as people say Joe Burrow is, the best quarterback, number one, a top guy, an elite guy, you don't really need Jamar Chase. But what you do need is you need Penei Sewell to block somebody. So again, they pay a receiver. This time, T. Higgins on top of Jamar. They're going to have a shit defense, and they're probably not going to have a good offensive line. And they're probably not going to win that many football games.
Do you know how I read that then? There's no way in the world Duke Tobin doesn't know what you just said. To me, that sounds like Mike Brown. That sounds like Mike Brown parachuting in, wanting Jamar Chase because it's a fancier pick on draft night.
I agree.
When you're having all those draft parties and beer drinking events in Cincinnati, it looks better than drafting a Penei Sewell or a guy to help. What you really need is the backside of your quarterback being protected and having that left tackle isolated. Do you think there's any coincidence all the good teams in the NFL, if you don't have a great left tackle or center, you're fucking hosed. You're not going anywhere if you don't have that position solidified. And what happened in the Super Bowl? Their left tackle fell apart. They weren't good. They were good at the nose, but they at the center, but they weren't good in the old line. They ripped them a new one in that football game. Right. The key right now in Kansas City is O-line. I guarantee you, they're probably somewhere, and they got rid of O-line guys.
Yeah, they got some issues there to rebuild that O-line in Kansas City.
I think, if Philadelphia is going to take a step back, and I don't know, again, whatever that means, a step, half a step, I don't know what that means. I'll tell you this. I think Kansas City's taking leaps backwards, okay, because of that O-line. You get rid of a guy who made first team. You get rid of a guy who made first team All-Pro. You send him to Chicago. Why?
Right. It feels like we say that every year and it doesn't happen, but it does kind of feel like this is the year that's going to happen with the Chiefs. It really does. And the one, we talk about offensive lines. It's such an easy way to look at teams that are going to compete immediately. You look at the Eagles, you look at the Lions, you look at the Bills, you look at even the Buccaneers who have a great offensive line right now. You look at the Broncos who rebuilt up their offensive line when Bo Nix came to town. I don't know what the rest of the NFL is missing so bad with offensive line. I get it; they're hard. They seem like they're hard to find for every other team except the Eagles. It feels like we pluck them off anywhere and they turn into coach. Something. I know our coach is really unbelievable, but get offensive linemen. I don't give a shit how good T. Higgins is. They're not going to win a Super Bowl, and in fact, they probably won't even get back until they build that offensive line. And you brought up Duke Tobin. I don't think it's Duke Tobin at all. In fact, I think Duke Tobin's pretty impressive. Think about it. Howie's got 45 guys, from scouts to contract guys to draft guys. You name it. Howie's got every one of them. 40 of them. Most in the NFL. Top spending in the front office in the NFL on their actual front office people. Duke Tobin's got 4 guys.
I know.
I mean, he does pretty good considering what he's working with.
No. Here's the difference, though. In New England, they had the same they had 5 guys. But you know who those 5 guys were? Nick Caserio, Bill Belichick, Scott Pioli, and Mike Lombardi. These guys were guys that were you know what I'm saying? We're talking about the cream of the cream when it comes to talking about general managers and talent evaluating. You got Zach Taylor and then an owner who doesn't want to spend any dough. There's a whole different conversation on what you have when you're trying to isolate everybody. All right. We haven't brought this up, but I'm going to bring this up to you. Who fills the roles of Oren Burks, Fred Johnson, and Isaiah Rodgers? Who's filling those roles to the level? Let me show people.
Oh,
Fred,
can't
what'd
play
you
that
say?
game, Sileo.
What did you say the snaps were on Fred?
What do you have? 500 snaps?
500 snaps. All right. Played against who? Trey Hendrickson shut his ass down. Did a nice job on Kayvon Thibodeau too, didn't he?
Sileo, I want to tell you something, and you know this. You can't go into all these people that are gone and expect to be what you just said. Replace them with the same level. You just don't. This is part. Jimmy Johnson explained it perfectly. That you have to draft well to continue to keep this up. And any dude who makes too much money that's not in your foundation, you let them walk regardless of how productive or good you thought they were. If they're not one of your guys, they're gone. Milton, Fred, Oren, goodbye. Now they have to draft, but I don't think you're going to sit here and expect everybody to be as good. Kendall Lamb, I think, is going to be a decent swing tackle. I don't know if it's going to be 500 snaps good. I don't know if it's going to be shut down Trey Hendrickson good, but him coached up by Jeff Stoutland, I like that player a little bit. You go to the cornerback spot, you asked Isaiah Rodgers. I think Adoree Jackson has a better chance to start than people are giving him credit for. I know I like Keely Ringo too, but until you prove it, you got to prove it. Adoree Jackson got signed a big-ass contract a couple of years ago. This is a guy that could play, had pedigree, and when he did play, he was good. Put him in Vic's system. By the way, an older aging player. Think Darius Slay started his career as a press cover guy. As he got older, adapted into the Fangio defense, and it elongated his career, I'd say, with Slay, and he played well last year. I could see Adoree Jackson filling in nicely, and then you look at Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks maybe to be that swing corner. And then who's the third one? Oren Burks. It's Trotter time. It's Trotter. It's got to be. It's got to be. Look, me and John talked about this on Birds 365 the other day. I don't even think they're going to pay Nakobe Dean regardless of what he does this year because they've already invested the $15 million in Zach Bond. Nakobe Dean could play like an all-pro this year. I don't think he will. He could play like a pro bowler. I don't think the Eagles are paying him. They just made their evaluation. They just showed you Zach Bond's who we want. They're going to keep Zach Bond, and they're not. What are they going to invest? Another $7 million? Another $10 million? No.
Because guess what it would be? It'd be 18 for one. It'd be another 13 for the other linebacker.
Exactly.
42 for your D tackle and 13 for your other. You think they're going to turn around and spend nearly $100 million on four guys on defense in the middle? Not happening.
You could say goodbye to AJ and Devontae if you think they're going to pay all the defense like that. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, look, this is where, as good as we've been drafting the last 4 years, and we ran through it yesterday with Jimmy Johnson and his grading stuff and from that interview that you had earlier in the week, which was tremendous. The next 4 years, the next 2 years drafting are even more important. Because if you want to sustain this level of success, the only way to do it is to hit on draft picks and get production on rookie contracts.
Let me tell you this, though, and this is going to sound maybe crazy. I think it's going to be tougher to replace Oren Burks, Fred Johnson, Isaiah Rodgers than Slay and Nakobe. And I'm going to tell you why. And even, guess who else was a swing guard? Was Tyler Steen. Because these backups, the names, look at the names you said. Trotter. Who's the guy from Fred Johnson again you named?
Kendall Lamb.
Okay, let me go on. Kendall Lamb. Who's the guy for Isaiah?
He's been in the league for 10 years.
Okay, hold on here. Who's going in for Isaiah?
Well, I predicted maybe Adoree could win the job.
Oh, who's taking over for Tyler in his role?
You're going to tell me. You're not going to get me. I'm sorry. No. The other ones you can get me on.
I'm talking about a group of players.
Yeah, I got you.
At the
offensive line, I don't worry about because it's stout. So I think specifically in a backup role, you're going to be good.
But I'm talking about the group of players that I just mentioned. The drop-off was minuscule. when they went in and had to play a role. The point on a team all the time, Xander, you know the problem that you have right now in trying to figure out what the Eagle defense is going to look like in 2025? You defined roles for every single player on that side of the ball. Everyone knew their role. Burks was the guy going to be the swing linebacker going in case of injury to Dean, or spelling Burks. Whenever Isaiah came out, or ever Slay came out, Isaiah knew he could go back and forth to play over on 2 and 1 because that drop-off wasn't going to be significant. Fred Johnson, if it was Lane or if it was, get this, playing right tackle and playing left tackle, you're throwing Fred around on both sides of the football. You really think you're going to find a guy who could play right tackle, putting his left leg back, going over, playing left tackle, putting your right leg back? You think you're finding that guy? What's the dude's name you just mentioned?
Kendall Lamb.
Kendall Lamb. It's going to do that and beat it. Now, look, you're right. You're going to give the latitude. My point
is, listen to Sills, though. I mean, does this dude have a this dude is talking about Fred Johnson. If you took out the names and didn't listen to the context, you'd think Sileo was talking about a Hall of Famer.
I'm talking about the group.
No, here's what I think. I'm not saying you're wrong, especially about the group. But I think what's going to be harder to replace than any one player or group of players is going to be the magical feel of the season in terms of complementary football. Like what I mean by that is, why don't all-star teams always win, right? Why don't, when you get the best collection of talent, why don't they always win? Because sometimes the team doesn't work. They're not complementary. One guy didn't fit in the locker room. Something happened. Last year was the perfect version of complementary football with the defense, with the run game, even intra-defense where the secondary helped the pass rush and the linebackers benefit. Everything worked. How are you going to, even if all the guys you just mentioned, you got better, how are you going to replicate the complementary aspect and the intangible aspect of the team that works so well? I think that is the hardest part, because that was such a special team last year. Even if you get better, that's no guarantee you're going to be able to replicate what you just did. And I think that is going to be the hardest thing this year, and that comes down to coaches.
I think what you just said there, that last word, coaches. That's one of the best coaching staffs, if not the best coaching staff in the NFL on the defensive side of the football, because of why. Bobby King showed dude, between King and Hurt and Vic, the secondary coach, these guys are all going to be coordinators again because of how good they developed and player developed. I mean, I can't believe they kept that whole group intact. I can't believe not one of them left to go to North. We can't. You can't make lateral moves. So you can't make lateral moves when you're under contract. So I get why they couldn't, but I'm shocked that one of those guys ended up being a defensive coordinator somewhere. And for the Eagles to get all those guys back, my goodness, man. And I agree. I think that is a major part of it. But Xander, when you have so many guys exited off, especially a side of the ball, and you had, by the way, all super chats will be read. If you guys want to keep filing them in there, please do it. We'll do it at the end of the segment. I'm not just talking about Fred Johnson. I'm not just talking about Orrin. I'm talking about, again, if football's the ultimate team sport, I'm talking about the group you lost. Okay, your drop-off to your second team guys could have started on probably 75% of the teams in the league.
Sure.
Okay? You had a starting second group on defense. You're telling me Moro Jomo couldn't start on 65% of the teams last year?
Fred's a good one, too. He would have started.
He's going to go down to Jacksonville and start. Orrin's going to go to Cincinnati and start. Isaiah's going to go to, where'd he go to?
Minnesota.
He's going to start there. Those guys are all signed to start. That's how good your backups and roster was that you took a blowtorch to. How you doing? Hey, by the way, folks, are you ready for this? I have to pick the mic up for this. I almost fainted.
We pulled the Jimmy Johnson this offseason.
Yeah. You believe in what you're doing, which you should.
Good. I'm going to start using that because I know you won't criticize Jimmy.
Dickhead. Hey, listen. Hey, ready? Ladies and gentlemen, I would love for Zander Krause to take a knee to Big Sills.
No.
Because, wait. John McMullen this morning on Birds 365 has picked the Washington Commanders to win the NFC East. Holy shit. There he was. John McMullen is picking. They're a little bit better, a little bit. I'm like, what the hell did I just hear?
Something about the way he said it compared to Sills that doesn't quite invoke the reaction that Silly got. I wonder why that is, everybody. But here's the funniest part about it is that both of you Goonies are going to be wrong again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's looking like the youngster out of Jenkintown will be right again on JAKIB Sports this year. We will see.
How about this? You have a harder schedule and lesser of a roster than Washington. How are you not taking a step backwards when you're saying Washington is?
Well, there's a good chance you do take a step backwards anytime you win 14 games. I mean, it's hard to do that again, even if you bring back everybody or you get more talented on the roster. So regression will probably exist, but I just want to be. We have to be a team that competes, and they're not going to fall below that threshold. So I'm not really worried about that. And the other thing I think this team has proven is they win the close games. They win in crunch time a lot. Like, look at the Bills. I mean, everybody's like, oh, well, our schedule's super hard next year. I get it, but they're all professionals, all right? None of them scare me more than the schedule does another year because you played the Panthers or whatever. Like, we beat the Bills. We beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. You don't think we can beat the Vikings? I mean, what are we worried about with the schedule?
I don't know.
I'm not that worried about it. Yeah, it's a little bit of a harder schedule. Congratulations. You've made it. You're a best team in the NFL. You got to play good teams. That if that's going to stop you though from winning, then you weren't a championship football club in the first place.
Here, listen. It's funny, people. I said this yesterday to you, and I'm going to expand on it. I think Washington wins the East, but I think you're going to get better as the season goes on.
They're not winning the East.
And by December, I think you're going to host the NFC Championship game at home like you did a year ago. You weren't gonna host it. I think Washington's got a lesser road to get to where they need to go. They're not playing a tougher schedule. They're playing a weaker schedule. Shit, you got to play against the NFC North. They're playing Atlanta and New Orleans. Let's get be real here.
All right, ready?
Okay?
How about this? Eagles versus the field. Okay, I'm going to propose a bet to you right here on the National Football.
Take the field easily.
Shh. NFC East.
Sound like
if
my old
the
lady.
Eagles win the NFC East.
Uh-huh.
Actually, let me go the other way first.
Oh.
If any of the other three teams, the Cowboys, the Commanders, or the Giants, if any of those teams win the East this year, and remember, the odds for that are great because there's been no repeat winners since 2004. If any of those teams win the East, I will wear the quarterback for their team's jersey on this show for a week.
Great. Get used to wearing Jaden Daniels.
If the Eagles win the East, you will hang a Jalen Hurts jersey on your wall for a year.
A legendary wall will have to put Hurts' name up there?
For a year.
There's only stars up there on that wall.
For a year. Take it or
God.
leave it.
Could I take that, putting a guy like that and putting a jersey like Hurts up there with those legendary names?
I will purchase the jersey.
Okay.
Woo! We're getting an entire season in 2026 of Jalen Hurts on Sileo's right over his shoulder. Woo!
No, you're not. Don't worry,
yes,
folks.
Hey,
James,
we break the curse of the 20 years.
James, don't worry about it, mate. And Sue, shut up. I'm sick of you holding me accountable for my takes.
Everybody remember it, clip it, save it. Eagles versus the field. Give me the birds.
Yeah, what's really weird this morning, though, I was listening. I think Washington's got, funny. I go, the Commanders are winning the East. Zander's like, even the guy up the Jersey Shore said that he likes Washington. And this kid's over here going, you're full of shit, Sileo.
Man, you got to be kidding me. Again, it's something about the way you deliver the message, okay? That riles the people up here on JAKIB, all right?
I completely I get it here, but again, don't you see it though, Zander? You guys, it's a tougher road for you this year. The winning has made it tougher on you.
Yeah, it's a tougher road. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. It's 100% a tougher road. I'm just not falling into the, I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to do it because it got tougher. Yes, it got tougher. So rise up. I watched them do it all year last year. I think they're going to be able to do it again. And I think, to be frank, I think it comes down to the quarterback because I think his personality and the way he handles adversity has seeped through the entire team, where you don't get too low when lows come. You don't get too high when highs come. You continue to work every single day. And I think that's seeped through the team, and I think they're in a good position.
Emilio Acho Ucha Kuchiku is going to have more.
I picked Dallas to get second, dickhead, over the Commanders. Use your ears, Shady, or don't comment at all.
Shady. Cowboys are going to lose 11 ball games this year.
It was in my bold prediction on yesterday's show, Dick. I mean, two of them were about what Shady commented.
Jalen, what is it? Jalen's going to be the MVP or some shit like that. I forgot, whatever it was. All right. On March 26th, this is going to fluctuate here because what I think the draft board is going to look like. Before we get to the Supers, and by the way, at the bottom of the hour, we will have the Battle Royale. I can't wait to kick the shit out of Mark Holmes' Cowboys.
You tell Mark, I think his team's going to beat out the Commanders this year.
I will tell him that. I will. By the way, you want to jump on and tell him? You tell him. Don't tell him yourself. I'm not going to be your – what do you think? I'm your delivery boy here? You tell him.
All right, bitch.
Here we go. Number 32, Big Sills take. DT at 32.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I think it's back-to-back defensive linemen.
Number 64, tight end.
Ooh, okay.
Number 96, third, edge. That's where you get Sawyer.
Third round?
Yeah.
You think he's going to hang that long?
Yep. You know what? I heard that Carl Dunbar said his agent told him not to go through the drills, and he was jacking around at the combines. He wasn't taking it serious. It was like really a poor showing. He didn't run cone drills. He didn't do the bench. He barely participated in his own pro day.
Yeah, you don't like that.
I don't either, man.
Yeah, that's weird. Anybody who's been
I remember, you know who had that same dynamic? Gronkowski. Remember what Belichick said? Gronk fell asleep at his meeting.
Let's pump the brakes on Jack Sawyer being Gronkowski, but I hear you. It shouldn't rule him out.
That's right. It shouldn't rule him out. But remember what Myles Garrett said when he was at A&M? Yeah, football's not a number one priority to me. Well, you could have fooled me, guy. I mean, you're averaging 14 sacks a year for the last 6 years. You got to have some priority going on there, man. I'll tell you that. Fourth round, number 134. I got O-line here. They may need to get a swing because what's the guy's name again? Commander who? Who's the guy that you're talking about is the swing tackle? What's his name? Commander, what's his name?
Kendall Lamb, Sileo. Wait a second. You should respect.
I'm not taking a guy named after a Kardashian.
You should respect his journey as an undrafted guy who's been in the league for 10 years. All right?
Kendall Jackson is going to be the swing tackle in Philly. All right. Number 161.
Why you got to pick on like the 58th man on the roster? I mean, what did he do to you?
Hey, I'll tell you this. The bottom part of the roster for the Eagles this past year was some of the most important players.
And they were excellent.
They were excellent. I'll tell you this, but you not agree? I never thought about this until right now. The Philadelphia Eagles may have had the best bottom 10% of a roster in the entire NFL because every single one of those players that stepped in, and man, when Tyler Steen walked in and had to play guard for Landon, I didn't notice anything. When Orrin stepped in, I didn't notice anything. When Isaiah stepped in, dude, how many times did we watch that all last year? It was really remarkable. Not only were your frontline, and you know what's crazy? Your frontline players were really good. Are they guys that are like generational players that slay a generational player? No, he's awful good, though. Okay? He's awful good. Is Nakobe Dean going to be one of the greatest linebackers in the history of the Philadelphia Eagle history? No. But he was pretty good. Okay? Nolan Smith, your boy.
Fear mongering, Sileo.
The next Reggie White, according to you.
Are you fear mongering?
What?
Are you fear mongering?
No, absolutely not. What I'm doing is
realistic conversations like John McMullen today talking about your roster.
It is really kind of crazy. I really do believe it's my delivery here. I don't know what it is, man.
It's always been about the Sileo delivery. There's something about the Sileo delivery that drives people nuts.
Ever. Okay. 165, I think another edge. How many of those 5 and 5th round picks do you think they use? Or do you think they package them up and move up and get 3s and 4s or 2s and 3s?
I think they're moving all over the place. I'm going to be live the whole draft because I already know that remember the one year, it was like a couple years ago, there was like 15 trades in day 3.
Last year he did that.
It's just so hard to cover. So I'm just going to go live the whole draft. I'll be live on the channel the entire draft. All right.
Listen to this. Well, last year, Houston's a 5, Cleveland's a 5, Washington's a 5. His own pick is 168. So he made a bunch of moves with those 5th round picks a year ago. All right. I wrote these guys down here. By the way, last thing before we get to the Supers. Yes, sir, baby. Washington Commanders. I got a bunch of people now following suit here. I'm like the Pied Piper here on Jacob. Are going to win the NFC East. Oh, hey.
You picked the team that lost the NFC Championship game to win their division next year.
Yeah, but that team that's going to line up against the Washington Commanders is gone. Oh, bye-bye. This Washington added players.
They added a bunch of
you
skeletons.
dropped them through a trap door.
Dude, stop. They added a bunch of mummies on their way out. Are you kidding me? They're the oldest roster in the freaking league after their
And you let the youngest players in the league leave your roster.
They replaced
27-year-old guys.
They replaced Jonathan Allen with Kinlaw. They get one 33-year-old tackle, and people act like they're about to set the league on fire. Washington is going to regress.
And
as
you
predicted
hire Kendall
by your
Jackson.
boy.
All right here. Hey, by the way, who do you like on this list to be in that 2 spot? We're going to take Tyler Warren off. I got my top 10 tight ends. And I'm going to put a number when they're saying the 26th best player in the draft is this Colston Loveland from Michigan. Do you think that they would take him at 32?
Not personally my favorite player in the draft. I think he's a good player, but I think
his hands are suspect.
I just would rather go with a defensive lineman there. If you're going to go tight end in round 1, it's Tyler Warren or bust. I mean, you don't draft the second tight end in round 1. This isn't. I wouldn't do that. At least that's me. Now maybe they would, but I have a hard time. Like Bob brings up a good name. What's more valuable, Colston Loveland at 32 or Gunnar Helm in the 4th? I don't see them going to a tight end in round 1 if unless it's Tyler Warren, they would move up for him. But I don't see that happening either. And I'm not the biggest Gunnar Helm fan either. I like that Elijah Arroyo,
the Miami kid.
Guy. I like him a little bit better, but
he's ranked as the 57th best player in the draft.
Arroyo is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty high. But
it's still going to put him in the 2nd round.
Yeah. Well, he'll definitely be 2nd round, but I don't know. I'd almost rather go 2 defensive linemen. Give me a DT and an edge. Give me a
I
DT
don't.
and an edge. You got to get bodies in that room, man. You got to get good guys that can be coached up. You got to give Clint Hurts some guys to work with in that room, and I think you should use those top two picks on that side.
You want me to get Arroyo on?
Do you have a relationship with him at all? Or I know you have the connection to him, but do you know him at all? Look at Sileo. I know you have the connection. You've had the head coach of the team on this program several times. I know you're connected to the guy.
I could get him on.
The agent's going to be like, "Hey, be careful. That guy will bait you into saying something."
Yeah.
Sileo,
Well,
Arroyo comes on with Sileo. All of a sudden,
he's a Miami guy. You know, I wouldn't hose him. If he was a Gator guy, I would.
He's a 6th-round pick, Sileo. What'd you do? What'd you say to this guy, Sileo? He dropped him down the draft boards.
I got another guy too, and I talked to her last night. You know Joy Taylor, right?
Yeah.
You know that's her brother, Mason Taylor. The tight end from LSU is her brother.
Oh, is it?
Or no, her nephew. Right. That's Jason Taylor's son. That's Jason. That's Jason
for bro.
Hey, that's Jason. That's Jason Taylor's son.
He's gonna be getting an earful when he gets in the league. Okay.
Mason Taylor. Yeah, that's
imagine having Emmanuel Acho criticizing your every move once you get to the league after that came out. Oh, you hate to see it. We'll drop a prayer for Mason Taylor.
Yeah, that's Jason Taylor, by the way, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I know that. I knew there was that. I didn't know he was related to them though.
Yeah, that's Joy's nephew. And by the way, Jason Taylor's the D-line coach at University of Miami. So cool. So I talked to him. He goes, "What do you think?" I go, "Your D tackles stink. They got to get better. You haven't had a D tackle go in the first round in how many years? 30? Come on, man. Got to be better. You see that thing with Cam Ward going number 1? Miami, in my time, get this. Miami had 4 first-round draft choices at quarterback from 1983 until 1989. I played with the majority of those kids. Right. And you know what? Miami in the last 30 years hasn't had a first-round quarterback. What do you think's been the problem at UM? DT and quarterback.
Right.
That's the problem with the program.
I like Cam Ward though. I'm like a classic NFL team. The closer this draft gets, the more I like the quarterbacks. And I like Shedeur and I like Cam. And I told you I could see it with Jackson Dart, maybe if he gets the perfect situation. But listen, I don't know how much of this Dak Prescott rumors are true, but I'll tell you one thing as an Eagle fan. I'll be 100% honest with all you guys. I don't want to see Zander Sanders in Dallas. I don't. You might think, who cares? We're going to beat the shit. Okay, that's fine. I would prefer Zander Sanders to go to one of the 30 other teams that have a draft pick on March or April 25th, 26th, whatever the draft is. I don't want him to go to Dallas. I don't like it.
He'll be Tony Romo. What do you care about Tony Romo?
No, I don't agree.
They're not going to win until the owner's not making decisions anymore.
Yeah, but if you get Deion's kid in there and then you get Deion at coach, you might start to see a semblance of decision making that's a little bit better.
Hey, you want to see oil and water? Deion Sanders head coach, Jerry Jones owner. That would be must-see TV.
Well, Curtis, I don't disagree that Prescott's a lot better than Eagles fans give him credit for. That's why I have him getting second in the East this year, because I like Prescott. I think Prescott is a great quarterback in the regular season. He stinks in the playoffs. That's the truth. He doesn't win games when they matter. But if you want to win 12 games, he's a great quarterback to have. He throws the ball effectively. He's very accurate, great in the pocket, moves the ball, gets everybody involved. When the playoffs come, you got to change his diaper. But other than that, he's a good quarterback.
If I were him, Dak, I'd want to go to L.A. after Stafford.
Good call.
I'd want to go there
this year. LA's going to be good this year.
Dude, they frighten me more for the Eagles than Washington does, because they draft so well. They've got a quarterback. They're good. I mean, hey, Russell Wilson to the Giants. I heard you talking. Holy shit, man. Good for you guys. Making it sound like, hey, 4 years ago, that's a good pick. Now, The only thing that's good about that move is that I get to see Sierra in New York. That's it. I mean,
Sierra.
oh, I do. Holy shit, man.
I like Russell Wilson, but doesn't have much left in the tank. They're not doing much there. Look, give him credit. The guy's collecting a check as he journeys around the NFL for a couple of more years.
What they give him, $25 million?
I don't know what they gave him guaranteed.
1 year, 25, $26 million for that? He was dog shit in Pittsburgh.
I don't know what the hell.
He couldn't move the sticks in Pittsburgh.
I think they're trying to play mental games with the Eagles. Remember how it's been reported many times how much the Eagles loved Russell Wilson when he came into the draft. I think Joe Schoen is trying to do anything to get in the Eagles' head after he has become a laughingstock of the entire NFL world. So much so that Hard Knocks offseason will not exist this year because he got embarrassed so bad.
They embarrassed that GM. So let me last thing here for you. Why do you really think, I hear you and John talking about this all the time, you really think it was right for the New York Giants to move off of Saquon Barkley? Before you answer, let me tell you why I think it was a bad move. If you're going to bring in a guy like Russell Wilson, or you're going to bring in a guy like Jameis Winston, or you're going to bring in maybe not the greatest running quarterback of all time, surely you want to have some way of moving the sticks to help that quarterback out. What's your alternative now? I mean, if you don't have a running game and you can't stop the run, you can win with marginal quarterbacks. Look at Brock Purdy. He's above marginal. He's good. But it shows you, Zander, if you can do that, you can win ball games. If you don't have, you can have a quarterback throw for how many yards? 5,000 yards last year in Cincinnati, and it didn't mean dick. What was the biggest problem that they had a year ago? They moved off of Joe Mixon and just assumed that they were going to have a run game. They had no run game, couldn't defend the pass protection, and they couldn't defend the run. Three things the Eagles are exceptional at: defending the run, running the ball, and pass protection. I mean, dude.
All right, so here's my take on it, because I agree that it sounded like I probably said that. I agree that that's what I said. I don't say that in that they shouldn't have signed Saquon. I meant that in that not signing Saquon is not what made the Giants suck. Okay, their philosophies as an organization, their failure to build an offensive line, their failure to do the things that make you a successful football team year in and year out are what they should be focused on. And you look at, you brought up the Eagles, signed Saquon, look what he does. The Ravens signed Derrick Henry, look what he does. The Eagles had the best offensive line in football. The Eagles, Saquon Barkley was the last piece. Even in Baltimore. Eric DeCosta built an amazing roster there.
By the way, Baltimore has the third best O-line.
That's what I mean. And their roster is incredible. They had 6 Pro Bowlers last year. So they got Derrick Henry. Yeah, they didn't need to do anything. They didn't need to get an offensive line. If you're New York and you have the worst offensive line, you just paid Daniel Jones $45 million. Like, signing Saquon, probably wouldn't have done much other than made you a permanent middle-of-the-pack team. So you never get great draft picks and you never win. So from that perspective, I don't think that was the nail in the coffin for the Giants. It was another bad decision for them, but I think all the other things before that and after that are what made them bad. I mean,
coaching decisions, the general manager hiring,
GM, coaches. I don't know. I know you have.
Do you want that guy? Do you want that guy, Joe Schoen, picking your next quarterback?
No. If I'm John Mara, I might say you're not allowed to take a quarterback at 3. Yeah. Get Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter.
Right. I'm not allowing that guy to pick that dude. All right, Tanner, let's get to these.
They should have fired. They should have
fired him. Right.
They should have hired Deion, and they should have let him run reins. But I think I don't want to accuse Mara of anything, but like, yo, dude, it's 2025. Like, I think you got to come up and you got to come to where we are as a society and as an NFL. Okay, you got to get over some of the things that you think you need to do. You got to accept where we are, and you have to move forward because here's the thing about the Giants that pisses me off. They have one of the best brands in football. They have one of the best cities on planet Earth. People who don't live in this country come to this country to see New York. And you're fielding a trash team for the better part of a decade? How? The Panthers, I get it. How? You're New York. You can't do anything?
It's terrible. Hey,
Terrible.
how about this scenario for them? You hire Belichick as the GM and you hire Deion as the coach.
Whew. That would be a good decision.
Bring Bill up and have Bill fuel that personnel department like he had up in New England. And then what you don't have to worry about is him being that old. You could be a general manager and be that role. You don't have to be the head coach.
Right.
You bring in a young Turk like Deion, then you hire his kid. And what you do, remember something too, Brady is tight with this kid Shador. He's constantly coaching him.
Yeah.
You know,
Slager,
he's in his ear.
What do you think Deion can do better than anyone? Slager, I don't disagree that Deion, I mean, maybe it's a little overhyped, but I think what you're sleeping on is Deion in New York City. That is a
wait a
match
minute.
made in heaven.
Wait a minute, Slager. I'll tell you what Deion can do better than everyone. Hey, kid, you're not doing it right. This is how you have to do it to be successful in this league. Okay? I don't give a shit who you think you are as a coach. When you're Deion Sanders and you're looking at a guy in the face and you're going, you're not doing this right. The culture in the building's wrong. Isn't it funny? When Deion went to San Francisco, they won the Super Bowl. When Dallas got him, they stopped San Francisco from winning a Super Bowl because Deion was there. Deion's a difference maker.
I agree.
Okay? And
another guy, in my opinion, there's more that meets the eye. All right. It's hard to quantify what he can do. But
well, it's what you said yesterday, Zander. If 2 phone calls are coming in for me and one guy's calling me, who am I going to pick up, Joe Schoen or Deion?
Right.
I mean,
good point.
Good
point.
I'm picking the phone. Even in norm, I got 2 phone calls at the same time. Well, I'm going to get Deion's. I call Joe back. I mean, right. You know what I mean? Like, if Howie's calling me or Deion's calling me, I'm picking Howie's up. You know why? I get a chance to be on a world championship football team and get paid or get an opportunity to get paid. I'm picking Howie's up. I don't care. I mean, do you know how many general managers that I wouldn't pick up the phone other than Howie's phone call? If Howie was calling me as a prospect and I'm one of the guys who are going to get drafted in the NFL, all of a sudden I get a phone call and it's Les Snead or it's Howie Roseman. Who do you think I'm picking the phone call up? I'm picking Howie's up first.
I don't know.
If I'm a free agent who has been fired in multiple places, who am I picking the phone up? Les or him? Howie. You know why? I just saw a dude, Oren Burks, and I just saw another guy in Zach Bond who were nobodies. Go to that place and get a chance to play. I'm picking that phone up. I changed my whole. I hate that he's a Gator, but whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, big personality, big city, big impact.
And big winner.
What's that?
Big winner.
Yeah, big winner. No doubt. No
Let's
doubt.
get to these supers.
Don't let him get to Dallas. Although I don't think it'd work with Jerry, but I don't want to see Deion and Shador in Dallas.
Well, you don't want the legendary.
I'll wish for that, not me.
But you don't want the legendary Shanahan being the guy who you think is gonna. Look, that's a Shanahan. You know when the apple falls off the tree, that apple is kind of like thrown from the tree because I don't think that's Kyle or Mike. But hey, who knows? All right, let's get to these supers.
Right, we got to rattle these because we got Mark and Philly coming. Prince, What's up, Prince? Good to see you, bro. Sills, you didn't believe in the defense last offseason and it proved you're wrong. I think we should trust the process. You were questioning who this guy was the whole offseason when it came to defense.
Okay, Prince, I'm sure you'll duplicate it again because that's normally how we always find Zach Bonds, right? How many Zach Bonds have you found in your entire life?
Joshua Uche.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Cue Ball says Big Z hit Sills with the Steiner math about the NFC East. I don't even that's above my
pay grade.
My intellect there. Kyle Kokorski checks in. What's up, Kyle? Why do I got a feeling the Eagles going to draft 2 D linemen in the first 2 rounds? Because they're probably gonna.
Because they do what the Dallas Cowboys don't do. They build inside the lines. They build the lines.
With Dallas, they're actually a really good drafting team. Who's that guy that runs their Will McClay? Is it in Dallas?
Yes.
Yeah, he's good, man. He does a good job. Now they didn't hit on Mozzie. Mozzie hasn't been good, but they do spend assets there. They're a pretty good drafting team. I'm surprised they haven't figured it out a little better.
I'll tell you what happens. They go too long in the process on re-signing guys. They spent the whole entire offseason dicking around with CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, but I think there's an Eagle lens here that we fail to see. Like, let's just be real. All right. If the Eagles won 12 games 3 straight years, and then our starting quarterback got hurt and missed most of the year, and we won 7 games, we probably wouldn't be like, we're going to be the worst team in the world. Like, I think Eagle fans are a little bit delusional. The Cowboys are fine. They're getting Dak back this year. They're going to be better than 7 wins.
Dak is not the problem.
Well, he is in the playoffs.
Okay. Well, get this. I think bad coaching is the problem in the playoffs.
Oh, that's fair. Or they got Schottenheimer. I don't think it's going to get any better. Pumper checks in. Our hope is Dolores Jackson, Joshua Ocho, and candied yams. Good night. We are cooked. Howie laid a fucking egg for our offseason.
Who are these guys, man? Holy cow.
Dolores Jackson, he called them.
I feel like Conor McGregor here. Who are these guys?
Two more. Bald Eagle says, what's up, Bald? Think the Eagles should call the Giants about Brian Burns. Giants signed Wilson, so there is a possibility they draft Carter. Now they're deep at defensive end. Nah, they're not taking Carter.
They're going to take, if anything, they're going to take Sanders or they're going to take Travis Hunter.
I agree. Hunter. I think it's Hunter. Jameson Smith. What's up, Jameson? Hope you're doing good, brother. What's up, everyone? Been a long minute. Hey, did you guys already talk about these Dak rumors to Cleveland? It's already picking up steam.
Oh,
Cowboys.
How can we get Mark Holmes on here and not talk about Dak Prescott?
Wait a second. Can I ask a question? What the hell is Dak Prescott going to do for Cleveland?
They'll probably win.
They have a decent roster. I mean, they went to the playoffs with Baker Mayfield. I think people forget that.
I mean,
and if you're Dallas, what do? You take the second overall pick. You draft Shador Sanders.
Yep. Or, yeah, you take Shador because they're gonna take Cam. It's Tennessee. Or I heard Tennessee's talking to trying to pimp that
pick. You're going to go to 2.
Else.
You might as well go to 1 if you're Dallas.
Well, I think they want Sanders.
Yeah,
you know who started this year's?
Remember, Jerry loves the headlines. Who's going to get more headlines next year? Cam Ward.
You know who started this last year? I did. I said that Sanders, Deion, and Shador were going to be in Dallas.
We'll see. I don't want to see that. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. All right. All right. Good stuff, Sileo. That's everybody. Enjoy the Battle Royale coming up.
Hey, wait a minute. By the way, last thing before, make sure you tell John I understand where he's coming from on the NFC East. The Washington Commanders will win the East this coming season.
Third in the East. Commanders fans, 3rd in the East. Dallas will be 2. Eagles will be 1. Thank you very much.
All right.
13 wins for the Birds, 11 for Dallas, 10 for Washington.
Don't forget to catch my man.
See you, everybody.
Birds 365. Great stuff, Big Z. All right. I've been waiting for this because now the rumors. See, we are now in the wheelhouse of the Cowboys right now. This is when the Dallas Cowboys are world champions in the offseason when everything is Dallas right now, baby. They got rumors that they're going to move up to 2 to get Shador Sanders. Would that mean also that you might want to get rid of Kevin Stefanski and drop Deion in the building there for him to become the head coach there? Or Dallas again to hire Deion after a shot in high? I don't know. What would you do here? But it's Dallas. And then you have the Eagles. And Philly 500's name, we have changed it to Champ. We've got to say this. And by the way, how about this one here? Champs lost 12 dudes. 12. off that championship roster. How's he feeling? Without further ado, it is now the first installment of the 2025 Battle Royale between Mark Holmes and the Dallas Cowboys. In Philly